All right, welcome once again to the show. Episode 8, a little different. I'm doing it solo this week, so miss Jacob, but we'll get by him. We'll do what we can. And we're starting the NBA draft. I know some of you are like, oh, NBA season. The NBA draft just finished Thursday. Kyrie Irving, first player picked in the draft by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Shocker there. You know how we thought about the conspiracy with that. But Kyrie Irving, point guard for Duke, freshman, played a grand total of 303 minutes this past season. And it was enough apparently to make him the number one pick in the draft. And it goes to show just that really, I'm not a fan of people coming straight out of high school, but really, what's the point? Let him come out of high school. This kid played 303 minutes, literally a grand total of about 11 games. And I don't even think he was the best player on his team. And he comes out number one player in the draft, and you hear all these guys saying, oh, you need a great point guard to win. Well, the Lakers had won back-to-back championships with Derek Fisher. Great point guard? No, I don't think so. The Heat went to the finals this year. Chalmers, Bibby, no. The Mavericks won the title. Jason Kidd used to be the best point guard in the league. Is he great now? Absolutely not. So this whole thing with you need a great point guard. The Celtics had Rondo, they won. The Spurs had Parker, they won. The Pistons had Billups a few years back, they won. You don't need a great point guard. You need a great team. I think it was a horrible pick by the Cavs. They got a gift by winning the draft lottery. So they take Irvin. I thought they should have taken Derek Williams, who went second, best player in the draft, I think. But the NBA draft is a crapshoot. There's no such thing as a sure thing. I hear Jay Billis, Van Gundy, and all those guys saying, oh, well, he's the only sure thing, or he's pro ready, or you never know. The NBA, there's no sport that's a bigger jump in talent. And some people are going to say football, but there's no sport, I think, than the NBA. You'll have a guy that drops 30 a game. Jimmer Fredette, perfect example. Is he going to do that in the NBA? Not a chance. Can he shoot? Absolutely. Can he hit threes? In college, it's a foot closer. Big difference. So the NBA is gone. It's 2 rounds. It's a complete waste of time to even put it on TV. We'll see what happens. That is the official end of the longest season of professional sports, the NBA. Then we go on, I think it's a 3-month break. And then we're back in the saddle again. So we'll see a lot of changes. I'm sure there's going to be some trades and free agency. If there's not a lockout, we have the impending lockout coming up. So we got to think about that. Moving on, speaking of lockouts, moving to the NFL. They apparently are in talks, and according to a good friend of mine, USA Today writer John Saraceno, he tweeted that they're not even close. So here we are, coming up on July, and they haven't even reached an agreement. So you're missing all those OTAs. You're missing a good portion. You're going to miss a good portion of training camp. So these rookies that are coming in have no idea what's going on. Some of these veterans who don't really work too hard in the off season and work when it starts are going to have a lot of time to go. So I'm thinking, if something doesn't get done within the next 5 days, we'll end up missing at least 2 games to the NFL season. And there's no reason for it. Just like the NBA, it's billionaires arguing with millionaires. There's no reason for it. They show up in the middle and say it's a cash cow, a money-making business. Let's make it happen. I don't understand. I mean, I understand the business side of it, but I don't understand why they just don't say, okay, look, this is going to work, this is going to work. Let's make it work together, and let's make millions of dollars, make the fans happy, because really, honestly, we're the only ones that matter. Moving on to baseball, and hockey again, I want to congratulate the Stanley Cup champion Boston Bruins. They had their draft yesterday. It's a very under-the-radar draft. It's nothing like the NFL or NBA draft. I don't understand. Hockey is, of the 4 major sports, it always gets thrown under the bus. It doesn't. You have to watch games on Versus. Their commissioner is an absolute joke. Gary Bettman. They teams move cities more than I've ever seen. It's Canada's pastime. There's now, thank God, that Atlanta lost its team and goes back to Winnipeg, who are, again, the Winnipeg Jets, as they were before. It's just any sport that moves a team from Quebec to the States, from Winnipeg to the States, and has hockey in cities like Atlanta, Los Angeles, although the Kings are a pretty stable franchise. Nashville, I mean, come on. You know, I mean, really, hockey is hockey. It's cold weather. It's a cold weather sport. Kids that play it in this country grow up in Minnesota, grow up in upstate New York, Massachusetts. They don't grow up in California. They don't grow up in Tennessee. They definitely don't grow up in Georgia. So the NHL is it's a mess. A lot of things are going on right now, and as far as I think, the NBA is doing really well, especially with this playoff run that they had. It was absolutely phenomenal, and the finals were about as good as they get. I mean, you had the ultimate hated team, and then you had the sentimental favorite. You had Dirk, and and Mark Cuban kept his mouth shut and just put together a great team, and they won. And it was just great. The whole playoffs were awesome, and it was gripping as a fan. And now they might ruin it with a lockout. I mean, really, how much money are we talking about? And that's the thing that they really need to realize is, what are we looking at to lose? The NFL, they've done it more than anybody. The NFL, the 82 strike, the 87 strike. The 82 strike lost 7 games. The 87 strike, they put scabs in for 3 games. It was the most pitiful football that I've ever seen in my entire life. But, we'll see what goes on. This is baseball time. This is a baseball time of year to me. It's the end of June. Nothing else really matters, whether your team is the Cubs, sorry Kevin, whether your team is the A's, whether your team is the Yankees, or whether your team is the Pirates. There's something going on in baseball, and this is when it starts to really get flowing, and you kind of see what's going to happen. You've had 2 managerial changes. Bob Guerin was thankfully fired a couple weeks back, Oakland's manager, and Jim Riggleman of the Washington Nationals, he stepped down because they wouldn't give him an extension. Why? I don't know. They're playing about as good as they've played, really, in their history. They have talent. They have young talent coming up in Harper and Strasburg. They're doing the right things, and this guy's doing the right things with them. Jim Riggleman, I am 100% behind you. And Washington Nationals, you made a big mistake. I do like Davey Johnson, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. And Jim Riggleman was doing a great job. There's a lot of things in baseball. You have Albert Pujols is hurt. What's that going to do to the Cardinals? What's that going to do to the Central National League? Again, I like the Pirates. Are they ready to take over? Probably not. Brewers get hot, then they get cold. The Reds are the Reds. They won the division last year, so what's not to say they're not going to win it this year? The Dodgers are a complete mess. Is Mark Cuban going to buy them? I would love to see Mark Cuban buy the Dodgers. And look what he's done for the NBA. Look what he's done for the Mavericks. The guy is entertaining, and he's a heck of an owner. He doesn't mind spending. He's got the money to do it. And you have a major market like Los Angeles and a storied franchise like the Los Angeles Dodgers. And right now they're just a complete mess. Let the guy buy them. All the owners vote yes. Let them buy the Dodgers, bring them up, and I guarantee you the Dodgers will be competitive, just like the Mavericks have been every year. It's hard doing this by myself. It's the first time I'm doing this. I mean, I can talk sports to anybody. Y'all know that. But I've gotten a lot of things. A lot of people say, "Hey, why don't you talk about MMA?" With MMA, there's fights all the time. A big pay-per-view every month, but there's really not that huge pay-per-view. The last big one, Dos Santos and Carwin. Dos Santos just dismantled and destroyed him. Surprisingly with the distance. I thought they would end in the first round either way. So now Dos Santos is fighting Cain Velasquez. For those of you who know MMA, Cain Velasquez is one bad dude. He beat Brock Lesnar pretty bad. And Brock Lesnar's a bad dude. Love him or hate him. He can fight. And he got destroyed by Cain Velasquez. So Dos Santos and Velasquez is the next big fight in that weight division. You have George St. Pierre and Diaz are talking about Nick Diaz. They're talking about him. Those two getting it on. And that would be just incredible if you've ever seen any of those two guys fight. I know most of you have seen St. Pierre, but Diaz is outstanding. He's a Stockton boy, and that's a tough little town over there. And he's a great fighter. That'd be the toughest test St. Pierre's had since probably Matt Hughes in his prime or BJ Penn, but that's another one to look forward to. Anderson Silva, I don't even know what they're going to do. There's nobody that can beat that guy on the planet. But the MMA right now, or MMA, and the UFC right now have just surpassed boxing so much. There's really nothing in boxing that people talk about except Pacquiao, unless you're a real boxing fan. I love boxing. It's kind of died a little bit to me by the way it has been with the sanctions and all that mess. But if you haven't watched MMA or UFC or Strikeforce, whatever, I would advise you to get it. It's great fighting, high action most of the time. Don't get me on that. It's high action all the time, but I don't know. It's coming up. We're coming up on the summertime again. This is the dog days of summer. It's baseball time. College football is coming up soon. Curious to see what's going to happen with Ohio State. Curious to see what's going to happen with USC. They're still under their suspensions and probation for whatever, or sanctions, whatever you want to call it, for the Reggie Bush fiasco. So, this is sports. This is what we do. This is why you guys watch this, and I thank you again for watching it. RobinJacob71 at yahoo.com. It is the show. Feel free to comment on the videos when I post them on the wall. Give me some feedback. Let me know what's going on and what you think or what you want me to talk about. I'll be more than happy to do it. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back with just some miscellaneous stuff.